All right, 165. If you watched my Hodge Trophy prediction video, you already know how I'm thinking about this weight class, who I think the big favorite to win this weight is. And in this video, I'm going to give you my top 8, 1 through 8, and the round of 12. I'm going to give you my national champion prediction. I'll give you a sense. Who are the big names that have left this weight? Who are the new faces at the weight? Who are some of the wild cards to watch out for at 165? Starting with the key departures, there's some big names no longer at 165. You got David Carr, multiple NCAA champion, the guy who won this weight last year. He's gone. He has graduated onto his senior level career. Keegan O'Toole, a two-time champion. He's moving up to 174. Dean Hamady, like Keegan, moving up to 174 pounds and transferred to Oklahoma State. Isaac Olenek, who was at Oklahoma State last year, has graduated. So some big names no longer at this weight class. Some new and exciting faces at 165. You got Sammy Sasso. Now, it's so tough to predict with Sammy. After, if you don't know, he was shot. Sorry, I was trying to think of a way to say it. He was shot with a gun. He had all these surgeries, all these health complications that revolve around that, and we haven't seen Sammy wrestle since that. Now he's going up 2 weight classes to 165. He's definitely, going to be a fan favorite this year, someone I'm going to be rooting for every step of the way. But when you're just talking about predictions, it's tough to know what Sammy's going to look like coming into this year. You've got Braden Scholes for Illinois coming off a redshirt. He was a top recruit for the Illini. You got Bo Mantanona, one of the most exciting wrestlers, one of the most exciting prospects. He's going to be wrestling for Michigan this year. Looks like he'll be there 165. Nico Ruiz, Arizona State. Now, I have a question with Nico. Is he 65, 74? I cannot get that answer out of Arizona State. They're kind of him and Han not being super clear on where he's going to go. I've got him penciled in at 165, but he could be a 74. Terrell Barraclough, someone that fans have wanted to see in the lineup, now is going to get his shot. He transferred from Penn State to Utah Valley for his final season. Excited to see what Terrell can do. MJ Gaitan down from 74 to 65, and Cam Steed from Missouri, someone who's been waiting his turn to start for the Tigers, now going to get his shot at 165. So a lot of fresh new faces at 165. Some of the wild cards, some names to watch out for. I mentioned Bo Mantanona. He's a high flyer. He gave Dean Hamady a really fun match at Midlands before ultimately getting dominated, and I think he was pinned. But it was a good back and forth until that point in time. He had a great match against Bryce Hepner of Ohio State, and I think a year of consistency in that room, shoring up some of his positional issues combined with his high-flying ability, his ability to cradle and wrestle out of a bunch of different positions. Really good top wrestler. I think Bo Mantanona could have a big year for Michigan. Hunter Garvin, this guy placing last year, I mean, he was getting tech majored. He was not just losing, he was losing big. And then at NCAAs, he was avenging some of those losses with bonus point wins of himself from guys that had bonused him earlier in the year. So Hunter Garvin, it's like, was the NCAA tournament, was that a fluke performance where he All-American? Or is that the new Hunter Garvin? That's what makes him such a wild card for this weight class. So those are the wild cards for this weight. And Nico Ruiz is my final one. Now, Nico is another bit of an unknown because he redshirted last year, so he didn't do the full on schedule. But the reason most people took notice to Nico last year was his 14-10 loss to Mitchell Messenbrink. That loss looked more and more impressive as Mitchell went on to do what he did this year, or last year, where he was undefeated going into the NCAA finals. He won Big Tens. He did basically everything there was to do. And so that puts that Nico Ruiz match a little more into focus, where he was able to score 10 points on Mitchell. And the word out of Arizona State is this guy is every bit of a stud. Extremely hard worker, very focused, and getting better very fast. So those are my wild cards. Who do I see finishing on the podium? Now, before I get into that, remember, last year this was the David Carr show. He beat Keegan O'Toole in the semis and narrowly edged out Mitchell Messenbrink in the final. So now, as the dust settles, it's Mitchell Messenbrink. He's there. But starting with the round of 12, I've got Garrett Thompson from Ohio finishing in the round of 12. He was someone definitely could place. I think he's definitely beaten All-Americans in the past. Can he put it all together at NCAAs like his teammate, Peyton Keller? We'll see. I have him in the round of 12. Cam Steed in the round of 12 for Missouri. Haven't seen enough. He was another guy I debated putting on the podium, but the results aren't there. There's some excitement. I know Missouri's excited about him, but the results don't get me excited enough to put him top 8. Same story for Terrell Barraclaw. I think he could, but haven't seen it in the results. Now, Matt Olguin, you could say the results have been there. This is a guy with multiple wins over Shane Griffith. He's my other round of 12 wrestler for Oregon State, but I don't see him finishing on the podium this year. All right, here's my top 8. Nico Ruiz, I already talked about him at Arizona State. I think he finishes in 8th place. In 7th place, Hunter Garvin. I'm saying he goes back-to-back and places again for Stanford. He was only a freshman last year. There's that figuring out process. It feels like he figured a lot out a year ago. 6th place, Bo Mantanona. This is a bit of a flyer. Based on his results, he doesn't have a 6th place resume, but I'm factoring in program and pedigree. I have him finishing on the podium this year for Michigan. Julian Ramirez, I think he does it this year. This guy has been in the round of 12 3 times for Cornell. I think he gets over the hump this year on the podium. You look at this guy's hit list over the years. He's beaten David Carr. He's beaten Quincy Monday. He's beaten a lot of the best of the best. I think he does it this year. I think he gets over the hump. And I think he's beating Shane Griffith, too. My goodness. This guy his hit list is insane. He's going to put it together. Julian's going to do it this year. He's going to cap off his career an All-American for Cornell. Finishing in 4th place, Peyton Hall, West Virginia. He's had good success against Julian Ramirez in the past, and he's a 2-time All-American at this point. Great point scorer. Can really score from a lot of different positions. Got good offense. Can wrestle from the top position. And West Virginia does a great job with development. So I think Peyton Hall finishing in 4th place this year. In 3rd, Michael Caliendo from Iowa. Caliendo was maybe the common pick to make the finals this year, and I think that's definitely a possibility for Caliendo. He is kind of the clear number 2 guy based on results, but I have him fallen 1 rung short of 2nd to Cam Amin, now of Oklahoma State. He was at Michigan a year ago. Did not have the year we thought he was going to have last year, and that's putting it mildly. I think Cam gets it back together. I don't think it's just the change of scenery. I'm not putting it all on the Oklahoma State factor. I think what we've seen from Cam over the years is a guy that, if you look at him compared to this field, he would be the number 2 guy, but he just didn't have that year last year. I think he's going to have that year this year. And so for that reason, I have him finishing 2nd to Mitchell Messenbrink, who is the runaway favorite at this weight class. He's the runaway favorite of favorites of any weight class. He would be my number 1 most likely NCAA champion. I think Mitchell gets it done this year. I mean, this guy can do it all. Such an insane pace. His attack rate is maybe the highest we've seen since Jason Nolf and how he was wrestling his first couple of years collegiately. There's really not much like Mitchell Messenbrink in wrestling today. He can wrestle from the top position. I think he's going to be a year better. You get to watch him at U23s coming up in a couple days. I'm not sure when this video is going to air, but Mitchell wrestling at U23s, get another chance to watch him. But this is a guy who really can break his opponents with his pace, attack rate, attacks both sides. He'll make mistakes. He'll give up takedowns. I mean, go watch his match against Dean Hamady in the Big Ten. He was down like 9-2 in that match before storming back and ended up winning that match. But Mitchell's my pick to win NCAAs this year. I think he's going to do it in dominant fashion. He's my prediction to win the Hodge Trophy. So that's how I see 165 playing out. Give me your predictions, your podium for 165.